Well, let's talk Georgia. In just a few hours, President Trump and President-elect Joe Biden will each make last-minute campaign appearances there ahead of tomorrow's historical runoff elections. Bloomberg government congressional reporter Emily Wilkins is in Atlanta with the latest. Emily, it's great to have you back on the show. You're on the ground. Give us an idea of the conversations that are happening, the energy, what it's like just a day before this election.
There is a lot of energy here, Tim. I mean, Atlantans, Georgians have just been bombarded with the fact that not only is this runoff election happening tomorrow, but that it will decide whether Republicans or Democrats wind up controlling the Senate for the next 2 years. So there's a sense here that people have been mobilized, they have been energized, perhaps some have been over-mobilized with the number of ads out there. But you are seeing sort of the big heavyweights come to make their final push. Trump and Biden, as well as Pence and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, are also in Georgia. Pence will be here today. Harris was here yesterday, all making a big final push to voters.
Well, it was the phone call heard around the world. We heard it yesterday. It happened on Saturday. We were just talking to Bloomberg Opinion's Tim O'Brien about it. How is that phone call between officials in Georgia and President Trump and his allies? How is that being handled by candidates making their last efforts on the campaign trail today?
It immediately entered the race when the news broke yesterday. At a rally in Savannah, Harris called it a bold-faced abuse of power. Ossoff said that it was an attack on democracy. So Democrats are really sort of latching onto this call to sort of highlight the danger of Trump and of Republicans. Now, we haven't heard too much on this call from David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler at this point, but we are expecting it to be potentially addressed more today when Biden and Trump speak at their respective rallies later today.
Yeah, what do you expect them to talk about? I mean, it's sort of a difficult thing to predict when anytime we're making predictions about President Trump. But how do you think he'll bring up the call in tonight's rally?
So Trump has been pushing these allegations of fraud, which we should know don't have any evidence to them, for months now. And the fact is that a lot of Georgian Republicans believe him on this. They believe that there was fraud in the November 3rd race. Some of them are concerned about fraud in tomorrow's runoff election as well. So Trump is sort of in step with Georgian Republicans on this particular point. And I wouldn't be surprised, given what his last rally was like in Georgia, if he brought that up again later this evening. Biden, I think, is going to stress more about the candidates, about the need to move forward, and sort of highlight the fact that if Georgians go ahead and elect Ossoff and Warnock, that means that his agenda will more easily get through Congress. One thing that you've heard Democrats kind of saying is that now they've got Biden in, but they need to finish the job and make sure that they take the Senate.
Emily, we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off in equities today. I'm wondering what you think investors have priced in when it comes to the results that we'll see tomorrow in Georgia. Are they pricing in this idea of a split Congress where the Democrats control the House and Republicans control the Senate? And if we were to see that a different result than is expected tomorrow, will we see some sort of market movement?
Well, remember, we've had a split Congress for the last number of years, so this isn't going to be a huge change in the status quo if we do wind up with a split Congress moving forward. But I think at this point, it's really anyone's guess as to how this election is going to turn out. One thing that we've consistently heard from campaigns on either side is that they not only need the Georgians to turn out, but they're telling Georgians, call your friends, call your families, tell your neighbors. This really comes down to turnout, and which side can mobilize their voters is going to be the one that winds up winning tomorrow.
I want to touch on this letter that the former secretaries of defense signed that we learned about over the weekend. They're called for a peaceful transfer of power, writing, quote, "The time for questioning has passed." What is the message, Emily, that this sends to President Trump and Trump supporters in the way that they're thinking about the election results?
I mean, that's a great question. I think kind of throughout Trump's presidency, you have seen sort of more perhaps moderate or centrist Republicans go ahead and sort of call out a number of Trump's actions. But in the meantime, we really haven't seen his supporters leave him. I mean, Trump has had plenty of controversies over this past 4 years, but his supporters have really loyally stuck by him. And I think what we're going to be looking for is that after Trump exits the White House, does he still have the support of those individuals? And how does that impact the Republican Party overall?
Bloomberg Government's Emily Wilkins in Atlanta. Emily, thank you for your time today. I know you've been super busy, so we certainly appreciate it.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.